Facebook's latest earnings are a treat for investors. Its shares are up more than 2%. And Mark Zuckerberg used his call with analysts to defend the company's decision to continue running political ads on the platform. At almost exactly the same time, Twitter boss Jack Dorsey said his site would no longer accept ads related to candidates or issues. Hadass Gold joins me now from London. Is it a question of Dorsey versus Zuckerberg and a very different take on the way they see political ads, or do you think this is really about freedom of speech here?
Well, these are two social media platform rivals. I think it was very cheeky of Jack Dorsey to tweet that out right as Mark Zuckerberg was beginning that earnings call. But in a thread of about 10 or 11 tweets, Jack Dorsey laid out, as he said, that Twitter will no longer be accepting any political ads of any kind, including from candidates or about issues. This is quite notable. And as you can see the tweet up there, we've made the decision to stop all political advertising on Twitter globally. We believe political message should be earned, not bought. Now, keep in mind that the political ad buying on Twitter is not a huge part of their business. It's in the single digits, around $3 million worth of revenue. But for Twitter, they're taking a stand here quite differently than what Facebook is doing, saying that they don't want to be involved at all in sort of political ad buying, because as we know, Facebook has been mired in sort of this debate for the last few weeks over the fact that they're not going to fact check what politicians say in ads on Facebook. So essentially, a politician could theoretically just lie in their political ads. But you and me, if you and me bought an ad because we're not candidates, we would be subjected to different rules. Now, Facebook is really digging in on this policy, and Mark Zuckerberg said that they don't want to be in the action of trying to debate what's true and not. They think that the public and the media are better suited for this. And Sheryl Sandberg made some comments earlier today saying that this is for them not about money. They say that the revenue that they also make from political ads is not by much, and that for them it's about transparency and it's about freedom of expression. Really interesting to see how these two companies are taking this in a much different sense. But for politicians, I think Facebook becomes much more the center of their focus. Democrats on Capitol Hill have been praising Twitter's position, but they all know that Facebook has a much bigger reach. Facebook's daily active users is more than 1 billion. Twitter's is in the hundreds of millions. That's still a big reach, but the everyday person is more likely to be on Facebook than they are to be on Twitter. But the business of Facebook is doing quite well. I saw you put up the stock price there on Facebook. Clearly, in terms of business, this political controversy over Facebook is not affecting it. They made $17.7 billion of sales last quarter, $6.1 billion of profit. The average revenue per user, Lainey, is up 19%. They're doing quite well.
Yeah, and Hadass, I mean, we also heard from a few experts saying, well, you know, Twitter wasn't really the platform for political ads, so it wasn't a difficult decision for Dorsey to take. It's the other social media platforms that really matter, and as you say, Facebook does get a lot more traffic as well. But the revenue side of things does become a question, even though Mark says it's really not, you know, a huge part of their revenue stream.
Yeah, and then the thing is, though, is that even though Twitter, for example, is no longer taking political advertisements, that's not preventing a politician from saying whatever they want on Twitter. And Twitter has found itself in its own controversies over Donald Trump's tweets, for example, and whether they should keep them up or not, because people claim that his tweets, in some cases, are violating Twitter's policies when it comes to things like language and how he speaks about other people. These policies that these companies are putting on themselves are kind of causing them sometimes to contort into themselves. I'm quite curious to see how much longer Facebook is going to hold on to this political advertisement policy. I'm not sure how tenable it is, and its first test, Delaney, will likely be in the United Kingdom. We have an election coming up on December 12th. This is likely going to be the first major election and an English-speaking election that Facebook is going to have this policy tested.